And welcome back, everybody. We got another round of movie talk with Kevin, Jeff, and Will. We are actually doing something a bit different this time. We're going to be talking some Wolfgang Petersen, who recently passed away. We're going to talk about some of our personal favorite movies of his, and we're just going to go around the loop and we're going to start chatting. So, Kevin, you had a couple choices. What did you start with?
I started with my favorite, not just of his, but one of my favorite movies of all time, which was The Never-Ending Story.
Yes, excellent.
Yeah, there was a whole lot of significance with that movie. I mean, it touched a lot of kids in our generation, for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was the most expensive movie made outside of the US or Soviet Union at the time. So there was a lot of faith given to him with that movie. And he worked really hard at making sure that it was to his liking.
Okay.
Not so much the author's liking, but it was to his liking, and apparently to the rest of ours too, because he made changes that from the book that just made better sense for this movie. It was a good movie for damn near everybody. Like, I still enjoy it as an adult.
Boy, that's kind of a common theme.
Yeah, I was going to say that happened with Das Boot because the author was not happy with what Wolfgang Petersen did with the movie. He felt that he took an anti-war book and turned it into a pro-war movie, which I don't really agree with, having watched it.
But it was people took it that way?
No, the author intended the book to be anti-war.
Oh.
And I guess he thought that the movie was glamorizing warfare or something.
I would disagree with his view on that, because that's not only is Das Boot a classic, I think he's oversimplifying what the movie was trying to do, and that is, I didn't get that impression from it. I think that's a great movie though.
Now, I've never seen Das Boot before, but I respect it for what it is.
Right.
But I don't think that there's any way to glorify life on a fucking submarine. Like,
especially World War II,
right?
Yeah, the Hunt for Red October. This is not. I mean,
no.
And I'm not even. Yeah, and I'm not even knocking Hunt for Red October. That's one of my favorite sub movies, period, of all time. So, but like, how do you glamorize that? That's not what that movie did.
No, in fact, it was very anti-war.
Yeah,
and it was an interesting parallel that we noticed between Das Boot and Troy, which was the other movie that we watched, because Troy also had a kind of anti, like, command, anti, like Achilles hated Agamemnon and thought he was an idiot and thought he was a dumbass.
Mm-hmm.
And like in Das Boot, Jürgen, captain, was not a fan of the Nazi high command and did not think that anything was being run right, and thought all sorts of incompetence was happening. Like when his boat ran into another boat out in the middle of the ocean, meaning the picket line was broken. And when they ordered them into Gibraltar.
All right.
So, and you saw that in Troy also, where like the commands are being questioned. And I noticed when I looked into it a little bit, it looked like he was born in West Germany, right after the war.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. So that must have been a really weird world to grow up in, half of Germany.
Well, that's also a theme that he carried over into the not the Hot Zone. The book is called The Hot Zone. Outbreak.
Oh yeah,
I love that book.
I was gonna say that's out something, then you just did it.
Yeah, Outbreak has like 3 levels of authority questioning and disregarding, so it's like, wow,
that's an amazing movie. I love Outbreak. My Wolfgang Petersen in my collection is very, very small.
Mine, I think, sticks to Never-Ending Story, although I can't find it. Air Force One. I don't have In the Line of Fire, but I did really like that movie.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
And then Outbreak, which has been one of my favorite movies since what it come out in 94, 95. I just absolutely love that flick.
5, I want to say off the top of my head.
Yeah, because I want to say my bio teacher at the time was like, "You gotta see this movie. It's about the book, blah 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 blah."
Yeah.
And I saw it, and it was really fascinating. I mean, some of it doesn't really hold up today.
Right.
For example, the casting. There's a few. There's
a couple casting choice question.
People that you thought were pretty wholesome turned out not to be, a little rapey. They still made a good movie for the time. Kevin Spacey. Cuba. Anyway, one thing that I wanted to point out about Outbreak that made it so scary, not just the possibility of what would actually happen in an outbreak situation like that, which we all got to go through a couple years ago. Hooray. But the scariest part to me was the top of the food chain, which was Donald Sutherland.
Yes.
Which, ironically enough, Petersen shot all of Sutherland's scenes after the fact because he was scheduling conflict. So they Raymond Burr'd him into the picture. Which people, if you're not familiar with that, Raymond Burr was not part of the original Godzilla movie. They just shot extra scenes and made it look like he was.
Godzilla 86, if I remember correct, or 85.
Yeah,
is what it's kind of called for American audiences.
But he used a lot of green screen. He was one of the, I don't know, well, no, he's not one of the first people to do it, but he took what like Ray Bradbury was doing in the 60s and 70s and started doing it in the 80s and whatnot with, well, I mean, you watch The Neverending Story and almost entirely in fucking green screen. It is noticeable, especially if you watch it on higher resolutions, but he really did well with that. He knew how to do it.
Right.
And you can suspend disbelief when you see his pictures in the green screen. It's not that horrible. He did it really well. So, I mean, I always applauded his films for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a scene in Troy where Agamemnon is at the end where he's kind of like cackling to the sky and it's kind of panning around him. And it's very lacking in its technology and how it looks. Very bad digital compositing. It's just jarring.
Well, and it was similar in Air Force One a little bit with some of the CGI, even though Air Force One predates Troy. Like the crashing of the airplane is so computer stiff with its graphics. Like if they could go back, they could make that look a million bucks. But you know, with a lot of the movies from that time with the early CGI, you gotta know what you're getting into. So it's like, okay, you didn't have ILM, you didn't have like any of these other powerhouses that could do your special effects for you, but at least for the most part, the movie was largely practical. It was mostly just the exterior with the airplanes that they went a little CGI-ish for the most part. But that was a fun one with Harrison Ford, I'll say that. Not one of my favorite Harrison Ford movies, but you know, you got Gary Oldman in there playing a Russian villain, and he felt very like subtle and subdued for the most part until he started snapping at the end. And then I'm seeing the brilliances of Leon in Gary Oldman right there. So I was pretty pleased with watching that. I'd say if I could have watched one more, I would have watched Enemy Mine with Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. That is such a phenomenal sci-fi movie. I had the DVD at one time. I don't know what happened to it. And the Blu-ray is out of print and outrageously expensive. If somebody could do a 4K, that would be great.
Wow, it's OOP and oh, that sucks.
I mean, I could probably get the DVD, but I haven't looked at like prices in a long time. So I had a chance to get it on Blu-ray, but when it was coming out from, I think it was called Twilight Time, it was like $34.99 or a little bit more expensive. And just at that time, I was like, I can't spend $35 fucking dollars for a movie. That's nuts. Yeah, these days it's like, oh, $35 for like Chucky in 4K. Okay, sure, why not?
I want to see that blood.
Nope.
But no, I feel you on that one. Enemy Mine, when I was a kid, it bored me so much I didn't understand it, I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, first time I ever watched it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to sleep now. But when I got to college and I had it, or no, I was like more high school. My dad had HBO on satellite dish, so I'd have some summers at my dad's, and I'd be like, okay, well, this is on. As I was a little bit older at that time, and I watched it, I'm like, this is really good.
Now, if memory serves, doesn't Dennis Quaid get Louis Gossett Jr. pregnant in that movie?
He does not get him pregnant, but Louis Gossett Jr. was already pregnant.
Oh, okay. Never
And
mind.
so they were like was it asexual species? And so they had their own progeny. They did not have man woman, it was just one sex.
Oh, I always interpreted as, like prison, they were just two guys helping each other out. There's no
You can look
condoms
at
on
it that way
planet.
if you really want to.
There's, love in the trenches. But no, I kind of do want to see it with adult eyes. I think I'd probably like it a lot more because I love both of those actors, and clearly I've got most of fucking Petersen's American movies.
Well, the movie is very serious. Yes, you can look and see like, okay, this is kind of cheesy here and there for like just wow, okay, he's nursing. Louis Gossett Jr. had a kid. Literally. Okay. And forgive me for not remembering the character name he was. It's just easier to remember the actors' names, but I just remember Dennis Quaid just like crushing that one for me. And for a hard sci-fi movie, I'm like, nothing comical is in this. Like, this is two excellent actors, a good story, and a great director. Freaking nailed it.
Yeah, man. I mean, as far as two-man shows go, it's that was a play.
Yeah.
You could have done that on stage, and Enemy Mine would have worked.
Right.
So I mean, hats off to them that two people carry this whole movie, just like at the beginning of Saw, which was cool. Anyway,
First one.
Yes,
cool.
the first one.
Yeah.
So I know we weren't going to talk about it, but I feel the necessity to bring it up.
Bring it up.
Go.
The horse dying in the never-ending story.
No.
So, not to give everybody at home the feels, the horse drowns. There had been a rumor going around for years, and a lot of people still don't know about it.
Yeah, they don't.
That the horse was actually killed during the filming of Artax's death.
Straight to the horse glue factory.
That is not true. It is 1000% not true. I did look it up.
Damn it.
Noah Hathaway almost drowned. He passed out because he got sucked under, but the horses were just fine. There were two horses, and they used them concurrently for scenes.
Oh, so we had our choice. We could have had the horse alive or Noah Hathaway alive. Atreyu.
True.
As it turned out,
Atreyu, movie over. End credits.
Yeah, I might have been the one who thought that the horse died.
well, no, I know. That's why I wanted to bring it up because, if you knew about that and if it's on IMDb, someone watching this is going to think, why are they talking about a movie where they kill a fucking animal? I probably wouldn't really dig on that at all. So,
Yeah.
no, the horses lived. I love horses. They're like giant dogs. And in fact, one of the horses was given to Noah Hathaway after the filming of the movie. So that was cool.
Yeah, I had never heard that story at all when that got brought up, and I'm like, that is not true. No,
You are so baffled. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, they almost killed Noah Hathaway 3 times in the making of that movie.
Oh, wow.
No wonder why he didn't want to do any of the sequels, or I mean, part 2, and not. There is no third movie. This is
yes, there
not
is.
the movie you were looking for. No.
Oh, there's not.
Ching.
You know what? The most I will say for the second movie is that it had Jonathan Brandis in it, and he
That
never
was
put in
okay.
for performance.
Yeah, I didn't mind the second one too much. The first one is absolutely phenomenal one. I love that whole I hope I'm correct in remembering this because I didn't watch it for this because my DVD for this is actually at my dad's house in Wisconsin. But it's the one with the Sphinx with the eyes shooting down, correct? God, that
Yeah.
scene, that sequence just gets me like every fucking time.
When I
It's
was
so freaking cool. As a kid, when I saw that, I'm like, whoa, just mesmerized by that whole thing.
well, I mean, you know me, it's hard for me to watch anything and not riff now. It's just my nature.
Yeah.
So as he was trying to figure out how to cross those two sphinxes, and the eyes opened up and started glowing, and he dives, and that's how they miss. I was sitting there screaming at the TV, "A penitent man would kneel!"
Yeah. Or if you were a little more planned and you had two shields with mirrors on them, you could just ding,
Wonder Woman.
have bracers.
But no, yeah, that was that scene with the sphinxes, and they were pretty cool.
Yeah.
From what I read, the book was different,
Yeah.
and for I don't know if it was budgetary reasons or just Peterson didn't think it looked cool. They switched it around to have it be like a mirror image of the sphinxes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like a almost like the upside down on Stranger Things.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
Yeah. I haven't done too much like background on the Neverending Story with anything. So it's like all I knew is no horse died.
Yeah, no horse died. However, all of us that saw the movie as kids still feel that pain, even though
Yeah.
they brought the horse back at the end. You're like, "Ooh, he's okay." But no, we all cried. We all cried. I still fucking cry. My wife makes fun of me because I cry when I'm watching it.
Well, it's a scene that's been utilized in other medium, like horse dying. Well, you got Shadow of the Colossus, where your horse Aro hits a pivotal moment in like the last like fifth of the game, and you think he's dead.
Oh,
Hits me every fucking time, even though I've played the game now like 3 times.
I never beat it. I think I only got to like the third giant.
Yeah, I mean it's all boss battles. So if you're a video gamer and you love Shadow of the Colossus, you know what we're talking about here. But if you haven't played it, it's all boss battles. There's like about 13 of them. You have to basically learn how to die and deal with really clunky controls the entire time.
Yeah, it was not when it was not a time when video games were as fluid as they are now.
Right. I mean, the remastered version was pretty good, but then you've had other horses through other like TV shows, movies. You get attached to them and they pass away. And I don't know, for at least my generation, the first time seeing that sort of thing was Neverending Story. And every time I see it since then, pet, horse, whatever, I feel like it takes from, wow, that was my buddy. That's my buddy. Damn it.
Yeah, I'm definitely an animal person more so than a people person, but
Yeah.
I'm not a bad people person. So just consider how much I love animals in that regard.
Yeah.
Like I'm the only person in my family on our cattle ranch. It's like, why are we riding the horses? They clearly don't want us, our fat asses on their fucking backs.
Right.
I'm not the fucking white sheep in the family. I'm very much the black sheep. But I was also the only one that didn't get bucked off that fucking horse too. But anyway,
job.
yeah, it's Frank Conniff, not to derail too much, but someone, I think it was maybe Carolina Hidalgo, gave him a website that has a database of movies that tells you whether or not the dog dies. So I wonder if this
Is
Neverending
listed.
Story is on there. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Because like he hates going into a movie, say like I Am Legend, where you have this animal companion that you build an emotional investment into, and then they fucking kill it.
Wow.
That Will Smith movie was
Boring.
Which
Yeah.
one?
The Will
I Am
Smith
Legend.
one.
Oh, yeah, that was okay. The book is better.
I still need to
The
read
book's
the.
phenomenal.
I want to watch the Omega Man, or not the Omega Man, the Last Man on Earth.
Yeah.
I bought the riff. I just haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a great riff.
Yeah.
It's a really good riff.
but the Hot Zone and Neverending Story, like I've been meaning to read both of those since I was like 15 and just never got around to it. So now I'm kind of like, well, shit, I want to read some of Steve Wilson's books. I still want to read these because they're classics.
Yeah.
Voice in my head's like, how much time you got, dude? You ain't 20 no more?
Yeah, you can't stay up till 5 a.m.
Dude, I think the last book I like sat and read cover to cover really fast was the final Harry Potter book. And then like for years, I don't think, no, I'm sorry. It was the Vampire Hunter D books. That's what it was. But I read the Harry Potter book in like 2-3 days because I didn't want spoilers.
Oh,
I worked at a call center with a ton of like inconsiderate people that just blur out spoilers and shit. So it's like I quarantined, no TV, and read it all without coming outside.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I probably didn't smell good after that. Anyway, the Hot Zone, I don't know how different it is from the movie, but the movie is always enjoyable. Like it was based on the Ebola outbreak of the early 90s.
Yeah.
And we had another Ebola outbreak, was in the last 5-6 years.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a nasty disease, and they kind of quote it in the Hot Zone saying its mortality rate is in our benefit. Like you die too fast for it to spread.
Right.
But the way the government handles that, I think Petersen made it pretty spooky, actually. And like I said, with Donald Sutherland being the bad guy, he gives like this very calming, reassuring voice, like to the soldiers at the beginning, like, you know, you're going to tell your girl yourself that you're going to be okay. You love her, whatever. And like immediately ordering a fucking hydrogen bomb to like wipe out the entire village.
Right.
And, you know, it's like in the back of your head, like, fuck, that is the US government, isn't it?
Too true. Well, thank you everybody for joining us on our episode covering Wolfgang Petersen. We got some great movies. Go ahead and get checking them out. Make sure you check us out on all our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at Suns and Shadows Cast. We are at sunsandshadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.